Hello there guys, it's Martha Mew here and we're here for the second episode of POKÉMONDAY matches. Today we have a Turtonator versus Gardevoir deck match off. Of course I am running my Gardevoir deck and Matt is choosing to run his Turtonator deck. I would say it's probably both of our strongest decks, and we shall see what happens. Let's just say that the length of the video might tell all, but who will end up being victorious? So starting there with a Turtonator and a Ralts for myself. That's what we want to see. Attaching Fairy Energy to Ralts. As you can see, I'm going first. I choose the N as my hand was terrible. Matt showing off what he had in his hand, including another Turtonator he decided not to put down by the looks. So guys, if any of you run either of these decks, what do you put into your decks that is different to what you will see today? I can tell you right now that I only have 2 Gardevoir in my deck, and that's not by choice, that is just because I don't have a third Gardevoir. I chose to run the Gallade with Premonition, which I don't remember if we see today, but that is the 4th option for the routes to evolve into. And Matt, as you can see, well, you might be able to see, in his hand he actually has the Houndoom EX, which we have debated taking out possibly, but it mills the opponent and it's a little bit of a disruption, which is basically what Matt likes doing with his deck here. So it kind of fits in quite a bit. Obviously, as we already know, Turtonator is pretty much of a disruption Pokemon, only doing 20 damage to the opponent, but then if you hit it back it can do a butt ton more to you. I think even after the N here, my own hand was still terrible and I wasn't seeing anything. Right here I'm obviously very, very vulnerable to being knocked out very early if things have gone very well for Matt. I don't think there's any... I mean, I suppose technically you could put a DC on the Turtonator, that's double colour energy, onto the Turtonator to be able to use its first attack, but only do 20 damage, which wouldn't knock the Ralts out, thankfully. But wow, Scorched Earth there drawing him 2 energy cards. It's pretty crazy. Chooses to put 1 onto the active Turtonator and passes his turn. I finally draw something that will let me get another basic Pokemon, and with that Nest Ball and believing and grabbing, yeah, there we go, the Xerneas, because I believe my hand has got nothing else that can help me, and there may be a Xerneas break in my hand that I can do something with that instead. So I'm choosing to go that route because that's the only option I have at this point. I can see I have a double colour energy in my hand. Yeah, so I can see the Xerneas break in my hand there. So choosing to attach to Xerneas and possibly retreat the Ralts. And power the Ralts up on the bench for being able to stall for at least a turn or 2 to maybe get the Gardevoir out. There we go, paying the energy cost to retreat into the Xerneas. Just checking I can't do anything else before using Geomancy to put the Fairy Energy back onto the bench Ralts. Matt patiently waiting while I finish shuffling so that he can take his turn. Using Scorched Earth to draw a Fire Energy and a Float Stone. attaching one of those fire energies he had in his hand to the Turtonator to start doing some damage to the Xerneas. And using Shell Trap for 20 damage. I use a rare candy to actually evolve into the Gardevoir, which is pretty good. Debating evolving into Xerneas Break. I'm just checking the wording on Turtonator's attack, but it deals damage to whatever's hitting it. It's not specific to the one that it was attacking in the first place. Touching the double colours energy for turn, and then using Secret Spring, which is Gardevoir's ability to attach the fairy energy to Xerneas. Just seeing whether it's worth me taking damage and attacking the Turtonator, or whether it's worth just Geomancying again to put extra energy onto the bench Gardevoir. And I decide to do 100 damage to the Turtonator and take the 80 damage from the Shell Trap. Scorched Earth again, discarding another energy. Fortunately gets a Professor's Letter, so you can find another couple of energy. You can see him going through his deck. He's not actually got a lot of energy left in there. I'm not sure how much is in his discard pile right now, but may see a Nitro Tank soon to power up the bench, and possibly onto the active as well, just so he can use his 160 damaging attack, which is obviously a lot more damage. But ideally he wants the burning energy on the Turtonator first. So he attaches a third energy onto the Turtonator, and I believe he's going to do the 160 damage to knock out the Xerneas Break. Taking a single prize card for that, of course. I don't have many cards in my hand, and certainly nothing that can get me a bench Pokemon, so once again looking pretty dire. I've not managed to fill my bench with Pokemon. I've not managed to get any more Ralts out there. At least I can get some energy from the discard pile with that energy retrieval, which is obviously 2 energy, which is how much I can attach to the Gardevoir, which I believe will be a knockout to the Turtonator. Yeah, taking 2 prize cards for that knockout. Avoiding taking any damage from knocking out the Turtonator because Shell Trap was not active at the point. So attaching the energy to the Houndoom and a Bursting Balloon to of course do that damage from me hitting him if I wanted to. He gets another Scorched Earth off, which we can see brings him a burning energy this time. Fisherman taking 4 basic energy out of the discard pile. Melting Horn does 20 damage and discards the top 2 cards of my deck, so I see a rare candy and a Gardevoir, which is painful considering I know that there's only 2 Gardevoir in my deck and one of them is now in the discard pile. So as we can see, my deck wasn't particularly loving me today. I don't believe I played badly, up until this point. I think I did all I could. But as we can see, Matt just getting scorched earths off from very early. I just use my GX move, noticing obviously that if I do damage I'm going to take damage, and there's things in my discard pile that I really need back into my deck, so I feel like that was the better move to make. There are less than 10 cards in my deck in the prize there, I'll get the words right in a minute, I'm sorry guys, in the discard pile, so they all just go back into the deck. Now, I think the video was a little bit jumpy when the video file changed over, so sorry about that guys. All I think was happening was shuffling while that happened. Matt playing another bursting balloon, ruining my day. He always has to have one. Using Super Rod to put the Turtonator and I believe 2 energy, there we go, back into the deck. And of course if I choose to do any damage to the Houndoom, I am taking 60 damage off the bursting balloon. Matt's got a lot of energy in his hand there, so a lot of fuel for Scorched Earth every turn. Not worrying about discarding anything. Chooses to end. Ends me down to 4 and himself, well, down to 5, but obviously greater number than my hand has. Matt has always been a very long shuffler. Not sure how much better my hand is looking. Gets a fire energy on the first card in Max Elixir, just using it to shuffle his deck as well there afterwards. So he has 1 on burning energy on the Turtonator on the bench. So if he gets another one on there, he's doing 160 damage every turn, because he doesn't have to reattach energy from hand. Because burning energy, when it is discarded from a Pokemon's attack, it comes back to the Pokemon after being discarded. Using Melting Horn to discard the top 2 cards in my deck, gets rid of a N and a Xerneas that time. Draw another Xerneas for turn. Puts it on the bench immediately just in case I need something on the bench. My options very limited at this time. I think this might be as full as you see my bench get, and maybe another 1 Pokemon possibly at some point. Of course, I'm mulling over here, if I do the damage to myself, will that leave me within range for the Turtonator on Matt's bench to knock me out in the following turn? I choose to take the risk that the only way he can bypass that is by having drawn the perfect card that he needs. He basically needed to attach an energy to the Turtonator and place the Volcanion down, and somehow managed to do 10 more damage, and the Gardevoir is gone. So the 160 plus a 20 from the Kukui gives him 180 damage, plus the 60 I've already taken is enough to knock out the Gardevoir, which leaves me obviously in a very, very bad position. Just showing the power of Turtonator, even if he didn't have the fire energy in hand to do the extra 30 damage with the Volcanion's ability, he's got a Kukui in hand to do that for him. Taking his 2 prize cards there for knocking out the Gardevoir. Of course, the match is not as close as the prize cards sort of indicate. I've managed to knock out 2 of his Pokemon, thankfully, but he's managed to knock out a lot more and keep board presence and have something that he can bring in after being knocked out to maintain the game. At the minute, of course, I've got no 2 prize knockouts for him on the field, which is obviously my saving grace right now, but that won't help me actually win the game. Turtonator showing its full power here. With that double burning energy on it to do that 160 damage every turn, and the Volcanion on the bench to do an extra 30. It's doing 190 if he can discard a basic fire energy from his hand, which we can see from his hand that right now he doesn't have, but he doesn't need it to just instantly destroy the Xerneas, which has only got 130 HP. I choose to attach the energy to the Eevee to evolve it into the Sylveon on the bench, and not to the active Xerneas, because I believe I have a double colours in my hand and I can hopefully do enough damage maybe to knock something out in the next turn. But of course, Matt showing the Ultra Ball, probably choosing to get either another Turtonator or another Volcanion onto his bench. Chooses the Volcanion, obviously. And then plays Harla, which after he's shuffled will draw him 4 cards. And if within those 4 cards is energy, then the next turn after that he can do enough damage to knock out the Sylveon, most likely. Oh, and we see him draw the enhanced hammer there, so even if I can put the double colours on to Sylveon to do the 110 damage to start the damaging moves, I can't finish up because he's got that enhanced hammer. Things getting pretty near the end here. Matt only needs 1 more prize card, and I don't believe there is any way I can take my last 2. I think I'm checking if there's any way he can possibly discard 2 energy cards. I'm checking how much he's got in his discard pile and how much he could possibly have left in his deck and hand. And prize cards, I suppose. So I choose to put the double colourless onto Sylveon and muscle choice band even, sorry. But of course, we all know that he has enough energy in hand to discard for the knockout to the Sylveon. And sadly, that is going to be the end. Yep, shows the energy retrieval, which gets him 2 energy, which is all he needs. 160 plus 30, and then 30 again is over 200, and he takes his prize card. So, there you go guys, the full strength of Turtonator against a very wimpy Gardevoir deck that doesn't really get itself going in this match, but still manages to get down to 2 prize cards. I hope you enjoyed watching, and see you guys next week with the next POKÉMONDAY match. Bye!